Peace to you, King. How you, brother?
I'm blessed and highly favored. How y'all doing today?
Oh man, I'm
Good.
great now. What the
We good,
science
bro.
is?
Oh man, I'm still in Kentucky right now. We heard this bullshit decision that Daniel Cameron, the Attorney General, made about Breonna's case. So we've been out here organizing, protesting, putting together Breonna's law that we're trying to get passed, trying to get them to release the grand jury minutes, what he presented to the grand jury, trying to get a special prosecutor on the case. There's a lot of new evidence that's coming out. I don't know if y'all heard, but matter of fact, I can't even say that yet because I don't think it's been public news. But there's definitely been.
Not to cut you off, but can you slowly briefly bring people up to speed as far as Daniel Cameron and the decision that went on in the Breonna Taylor case and just everything that's going on?
So basically, it took Daniel Cameron, who is the Attorney General of Kentucky, a
And he is
total
black,
of,
yes?
and I mean,
His
if you
skin
say,
is black.
his skin is black. He's
Okay.
definitely
Right.
definitely has
Yeah,
black
yeah,
skin.
yeah.
And they took about 6 months to finally decide that they were going to present the grand jury with information based on the death of Breonna Taylor, who was killed in her home by police officers who came with the no-knock warrant, who kicked in her door, shot her through windows, through walls. 6 shots went into her, over 20 shots went into the house. He presented evidence to a grand jury, which basically said that the only thing that they were guilty of were shots that they missed that went into a white neighbor's home.
Mm-hmm.
They weren't guilty of killing her. They weren't guilty of anything that was related to her death. Her name was not even mentioned one time in the indictment. It was a travesty. And it took them 6 months to realize that they didn't present so much evidence. They took evidence, information from one neighbor who said that he thinks he heard the officers kicking, announce themselves before they kicked in the door. But 12 other neighbors said that they never heard anything. They didn't hear any police, scream police. They didn't take any of that evidence. They didn't take the testimony of Kenny Walker, who was Breonna Taylor's boyfriend at the time, who said he never heard, and he gave an accurate account. They didn't take so much information. They didn't speak about the warrant, the no-knock warrant that was signed based on false information that they knew was false information because they put on there that the Postmaster General had informed them that packages that looked like they were illegal were going to this residence. The Postmaster General said that they never gave them any of that information. So whoever signed that warrant signed it falsely. They never presented that to the grand jury. There's so many things that they didn't present, and they came back with an indictment for 3 counts of wanton endangerment, some shit I never heard of. I didn't even know that was even something, and it basically is pretty much reckless endangerment, but it's a different word. And it had nothing to do with anything that happened to Breonna Taylor or anyone in her home. It was for 2 bullets that were found lodged in walls in the neighbor's home. So they said that those were counts that he was guilty of, that, which is a misdemeanor pretty much, that carries from a year to 5 years, which more than likely doesn't even result in prison time. So, it took us 6 months for them to tell us absolutely nothing. And we were, as you would expect, everyone is outraged. The family was disgusted. They made Breonna Taylor's mother, who's become like family to me, drive an hour from Louisville to Frankfurt, where this decision was made, to tell her that they weren't going to do shit about her daughter. And then she had to drive an hour back here, listening to that information. When they were informed the day before by Kenny Walker's lawyer, Sam Aguilar, that if you're not going to give us any information or news that makes sense, please do not have this lady drive an hour, all the way up there for you to tell us some bullshit. And they assured them that they wasn't, and they called them anyway and made that lady drive there to hear that. So, everyone's outraged. There's so much information that's coming up even today. I was about to say something, but it hasn't been released yet. But I know there's been body cam evidence that's come out lately that people see there's contradictions in a lot of the stories that they were telling. So, we're pushing for a special prosecutor. We also pushing. We know that there's still a federal investigation going on. So, we're not stopping. We're not being deterred, and we're not stopping. So we've been out here protesting ever since. And before that, they've issued a 9:00 curfew, in which most people have not listened to, as myself. So when I was supposed to do this a little earlier, we was breaking the curfew because we're gonna make sure that we break that law at all costs.
Right.
So so that's what we're doing right now.
Let me ask you something. How many times have you been locked up so far during these protests?
I don't even know, man. I can't even tell you. I know I've been locked up.
I feel like I can count at least 5 different times that I
Yeah,
off
at
the
least
head.
at least that. I mean, I've been locked up 2 times in Louisville in the last month. So just for this situation, and so it depends. I don't count. I did 7 years in jail for a crime I never committed for some bullshit that wasn't even honorable. So I figure if I'm gonna risk my freedom and put my life in jeopardy, it's gonna be for something that I stand for and something that I believe in and something that I feel is a good cause, and that's gonna make change.
Now, a lot of times when you get locked up for these things, do they end up getting thrown out, or do you end up having to like really fucking having to go to court? You know what I mean? Get on a plate and go to court for some bullshit in another state that you
I
was
mean,
protesting in.
this is probably the first time. No, I mean DC. I didn't. I had to go back to court for DC, the court case that I had in DC. But so this is one of the first cases outside Louisville. Most of the time I get locked up is in New York or in the tri-state area. So, and they usually I have my lawyer and they represent it and they give us some probation because it's not really a felony or anything. But the last thing that I was charged here, they actually tried to charge us with a felony when we protested on Daniel Cameron's lawn. They actually tried to give us felonies for that. But they dismissed the felonies. But it all depends on what
Was Daniel home when you did that?
No, he wasn't home. We thought he was, but he wasn't home. He had just bought this new house, and we got the address, and we staged a march. We're about 300 or 400 of us went there, and 87 of us sat on the lawn and got arrested on the lawn.
Wow, he's really that dude, huh? That's what's her name's granddaughter, right? Mitch McConnell. He got married to.
Yeah, he's married to Mitch McConnell's granddaughter. Yep.
Fuck. Damn.
And he's Mitch's bitch.
Mitch's bitch.
Mitch McConnell.
Mitch is. I think he's trying to run for Ruth Bader Ginsburg's seat.
He's trying to do everything. He's the mayor of Kentucky, and we're trying to get his ass out of there too. So
we need to get his ass out of there, man. Fuck that dude.
That dude is.
I see niggers.
Yes.
Niggers.
That's
that
him.
motherfucker. I think he's up for the cream of wheat box too.
Yeah, he's definitely trying to get that.